Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're joining us for the first time, I'm so happy to have you. Welcome. If you've been with us the entire journey, I appreciate you. I can't thank you enough. So today I'm going to talk about something that very many people have spoken about. It's probably something that comes up every day in our conversations on social media and all these things, but I also feel that it's important that you and I talk about it. So we're going to talk about finances. We're going to talk about money. I don't think I'm in a place in my life where I am content, but isn't that the goal? Like, we all want to get to a point in our lives where we say, yes, the money I earn is enough. But even those who get more have the desire to get more. Like, I remember my first salary was about 120,000, and I lived, and it has grown by tremendously, but I can still tell you that I still want more where I am right now. So yes, money is good, wealth is of the kingdom, but we always feel like we don't have enough money. We want to get to a place where we are happy or content with exactly what we have, and don't feel like, oh, I'm in so much debt, or I have so much to do yet so little money to achieve probably the dreams you want to achieve. We've all been raised in the mindset of you grow up, you go to school, get a job, buy land, buy a car, build, and all these sorts of things. Suddenly here you're a 30-year-old and you have no land to your name. If you have a car, you're probably wanting another one or a better car. Like, it's not your dream car, for example. Yet there are friends that you turn and look at and they look like they're living your dream life. Yeah. And my focus or my emphasis today is really going to be in how we manage our money so that we don't feel like we're under any pressure. As I've been saying over a couple of episodes and things like that, don't feel pressured to be like the people closest to you or the people next to you. It's okay to take your time. It's okay to live your life in a way that it makes sense to you, as long as you're not destroying yourself. We can look up to people, but never believe that you can accelerate at the same rate that everyone else is. It could be that while they're going 10 steps further, you're only going 2. Appreciate the 2 that you have made. Appreciate the progress that you have made as a person, and you will be happier. If you're happy, then that's all that matters. If you're content, that's all that matters. So I know that I've mentioned that I'm getting to 30 and I want to be debt-free by 30. While debts are portrayed to be a bad thing, they may not necessarily be bad, and that could be a conversation for another day. I know that very many businesses operate on credit, and it's very hard to be fully liquid for anyone, but don't have exorbitant debts. So I got to a point where I realized that I was actually having abnormal debt. Abnormal being debt that I really see that I can't sustain, or if anything happened to me right now, I'll probably have to drop all my savings to clear the debt. Let's just imagine that like, even with the coming of COVID, very many people lost their jobs. And then there was a phrase that went around of, can the money you have sustain you for the next 6 months? Yeah. I don't know if I'm at that place in my life right now, but I don't think I would do so badly if I were to just look at how much money I have saved up. But if I look at how much money I have saved up vis-a-vis how much debt I have, I would be broke. Actually, I should just say I am broke. So there's always been this pressure as we go to work. Oh, Atai, you've been in DHL by the way, I work with DHL. You've been in DHL, let's say, for 10 years. What do you have to show for it? And there's nothing you can actually tangibly come out and say, this is what I have gained. you've kind of been living life, waking up every day, going to work, paying your rent, and doing all these sorts of things. But you can't say that from how much you've earned, this is what you now have, or these are what your assets are. So I had to get disciplined with my money. I had to get to a point where I said, no, Muriel, what do you want to achieve? Where do you want to be in 5 years? How are you going to get there? And one of the pertinent things that I've had to do is to actually do away with debt. I had a couple of debts, but I think the biggest one is a loan I took from our office circle for a decision that most people would probably say was dumb. Yeah. Like people always say, if you're going to take a loan, let it be a loan that you're taking to invest, that is going to be something that will bring back money. But when you need money, sometimes you're not thinking that route. So I drive a very expensive car for average standards. And I remember when I was importing my car, I thought that by the time the car got here, I would have the money to pay taxes. And the taxes in this country are like 2 times how much you pay to buy the actual car. So I remember having to take a loan to be able to offset the balance of taxes. So that's how I have a loan that I feel like sometimes it's just too much or abnormal. Your reason could be different. It could be that you probably took a loan because you had a business opportunity and somehow, somewhere, things turned sour. So the reasons why we all take money or take loans are different. But what have I learned to do since then? I've come to be more disciplined with how I handle my money and how it impacts me, because I know that when I turn 30, I need that circle loan to be gone. Like, I don't want it hovering over my head every month saying, like, I will take the loans of 100K maybe from a friend, but the one that is in millions, we need to let go of that loan. So what are some of the things that I've done? And I'm going to borrow or take reference to Apostle Moses Mukisa's book, Straightforward Financial Growth, because it's from reading that book that I began to be more disciplined with my money. So I now have a budget. I actually have an annual budget. In this budget, I have specified and said, this is your income every month. This is what you expect to come in every month. And then what are your monthly expenses? So we all have expenses, especially if you moved out of home. There are expenses that are mandatory. If you're not staying in your own house, you have to pay rent, you have utility bills, you probably have to pay, if you're driving a car like me, I have to drive to and from work every day, so I have to buy fuel. I have to buy groceries. We have to feed. Like, there are basic needs that you and I need that are definitely a part of the budget. Then I also looked at things like cable TV, internet, because we actually need data to be able to function in this world. Maybe health insurance. Most of the companies these days have now adopted providing medical insurance for their staff. But if it wasn't there, you'd probably have to put aside money monthly for just in case you fall sick. So that also is included. But then, because you and I need to be well, and we need to take care of mental health and physical well-being, I've also had to be able to put money aside and budget for recreation, things like travel, things like hangouts with friends. So I have date night in here, but then we also have financial obligations. So things like tithe. Yeah, do you tithe, for example? If you tithe, then tithe needs to be included. Some of us feel the need to buy a new dress every month, a new shoe, maybe a handbag, whatever it is, include it in the budget so that then it's not a shock of, oh my God, this month I bought 4 dresses. I don't know what I was thinking. I actually didn't need them. And then you feel like, maybe if I had planned better, I wouldn't be in this predicament. So planning your money is a very, very important thing. But after you plan, sticking to that plan is also quite important. So something else that I've done is also be able to now specify every month and say that this month, this is what I spent on. So then I have a list of things that I've spent on during the month. Sometimes we budget that we're going to spend maybe 400,000 on fuel, and then you find that maybe my dad will give me his fuel card, so I don't spend that money on fuel. Then I suddenly realize, I have more money to spend, and then I go and spend it maybe on a new pair of shoes. So being able to keep tabs of, this is how much I am making, this is where I'm spending the money. It also helps to give an analysis of where you're spending your money more. Are you spending it on things that are advancing you as a person? Maybe school. From my expenses, I actually realized that I spend a lot of money on my car. Yeah, and that might be one of the things that you could choose and say that if I'm spending a lot of money here and it's not growing me, I am going to let go of that item. Or you're going to choose and say, maybe I need to find another avenue to make money to then grow this particular area of my life and not feel like it is draining me so much. Yeah. But also, there are all these rules. People say save 10% of your income, save 15%. Some people will tell you to save 50%, and 50% is for expenses. There are so many ways in which we can make our money work for us. You could join investment clubs. You could join. You could just be a disciplined saver. For me, it's been very hard to put money aside. I once had I have a current account with my bank, but also had a savings account. But I can tell you that when I was broke, I would walk to the counter and be charged the 10,000 shillings as long as I could have access to my money. What I've now adopted is placing money in places where I can't easily access it. So I've joined clubs where I know that when I put money there, like even the process of getting that money will just be too long. So I actually have no access to it. Ultimately, what are we trying to achieve? It is that you're securing your future, yeah? That if anything happened to you, you're basically planning for contingencies. That if anything happened to you, you can actually look after yourself for at least a period of 6 months. If it can be a longer period, maybe a year or 2 years, that you can look after yourself for 2 years based with how much money you have saved up, well and good. That is actually much better. None of us knows what tomorrow holds. Very many of us are in formal employment, and we don't know when it could come to an end. It could be sudden. It could be that you just get tired and say, let me quit. But are you ready to quit? So many of us are held back by the reason because we don't have much saved up, so we don't feel like we can move on to the next step. So how are you going to put yourself in a better position that if anything were to happen, you're then able to take care of yourself? So you might have a different opinion, you might have a different way of doing it. Feel free to share it in your comments, feel free to share it in the comments, feel free to let us know how you do it, how do you manage your money, how do you make your money work for you, and let us be able to share the same with the rest of the community. You could help someone out there. I'm so glad that you could join us today, so glad you could stay till the end, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.